This is The Point of View. We're live on Citi TV, and tonight we have a great show for you. My name is Bernard Avle. The Point of View is your preferred current affairs show on television. We get the right guests, we ask them relevant questions, and you definitely go home with something very good. We have a 2-in-1 show for you tonight. So earlier in the day, Isaac Esiama, who is the Minister for Youth and Sports and MP for Atwemamponua, appeared before Parliament to give a breakdown of what happened in Egypt. Our worst performance since 2006. Well, he's put out the budget and explained how the expenses went. It set a lot of tongues wagging. We'll talk about that breakdown tonight. One of my key guys has been poring over the numbers. He will tell you more about what we have. And later on, 7 years ago today, Ghana's sitting president J.E. Mills dies. We have an exciting interview with Koku Anyidoho, who's probably his closest confidant while he was president. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. So it's an interactive show. We want to hear from you. If you are watching on television, we have a WhatsApp number on the screen. Let us know what you think. If you're watching on social media, Facebook Live, we have a comment stream down there. I will be very happy to hear from you. So Koku is in the house and is just warming up to join me. But before I bring Koku Anyidoho, let me start with Fento Tahiru. Fento. So Fento is one of Citi Sports' journalists. Fento, great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
This must have been a big day for sports journalists.
It's been, yeah.
How much were you guys anticipating today, the minister's appearance before Parliament?
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things that that are most anticipated for Black Stars budget. Around every tournament, World Cup, AFCON, the budget is always a very huge subject of discussion. More so after the 2014 World Cup, when details of how the monies were spent came out. There's now a keener interest in what goes into our AFCON campaign. And this was no different. I think that even we were expecting him to appear yesterday.
Which is funny because I heard Siki Akono earlier on today say that on radio that we make too much noise about bonuses and that tends to affect the players. So incidentally, after saying that, then we had this big story.
I know, the irony.
So let me take you to Parliament first. I'm going to show you, actually Duke Mensah was in Parliament. He has a quick report on what transpired and how the MPs received the news about the Black Stars budget.
The Black Stars ended their 2019 AFCON campaign at the round of 16 stage of the competition. Sports Minister Isaac Esiama was in Parliament earlier today to brief members on the entire campaign. The statement revealed that an amount of $6.3 million was budgeted for the campaign, but $4.5 million was spent. The Sports Minister presented the items in the AFCON budget as follows.
Now the breakdown, and here the details. Airfare, $924,168. Per diem for players, $187,050. Per diem for technical staff, $129,600. Per diem for additional technical staff, $90,750. Winning bonus for players, $95,405. Winning bonus for technical team, $347,207. Winning bonus for additional technical team, $177,000. That's $177,000. Accommodation in here includes pre-tournament camping, and of course camping facilities. Also for the playing body, and of course the main tournament itself for members of the GFA. Some who were there, old players who were there, some of them Ghana Supporters Union, Ministry officials, journalists, and of course members of Parliament. And that amount is $1,143,509. Feeding, of course, allowance for also these categories of names I've mentioned. Also, that is $419,300. Match tickets for all these categories, supporters, officials, and all the names I've mentioned. $41,750. Medicals across board, $44,574. Visa fees, $8,541. Internal transportation, $43,092. Incidentals, $42,507. $4,406,000. So the difference here of 635 million and $464 million will return to government chest. That's a difference of $1,079,000 will return to government chest. That is the difference.
Ranking member for the Public Accounts Committee, Kofi Anyidoho, although a member of the majority, questioned the approach by which the sports minister presented the issue to Parliament.
But now we are being bombarded with expenditures which, in my view, have not yet been certified by the Auditor General. So, Mr. Speaker, are we going to debate and run around with these figures which have not been certified by the Auditor General and, for that matter, by the Public Accounts Committee? If they turn out not to be correct, what we do? So, Mr. Speaker, I think that we have procedure in this House for oversighting. We have procedure for oversighting the executive.
Boko Central MP and former sports minister Mahama Ayariga cast doubts over the amount presented to the House.
We exited at 1/16, but in terms of the finances, we exited at 70% of the finances. The minister should explain to us how come that we're exiting at 70% of the finances when we exited at 1/16 in the tournament. Mr. Speaker, I think that in terms of financing the Black Stars and support for the Black Stars, in the future we should be looking at the private sector. We should be looking at the private sector and trying to push as much as possible the burden of supporting these kind of activities to the private sector so that the expenditure do not show in terms of the public books.
Deputy Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Obi Amwa, called for a detailed roadmap to be drawn up to prevent a recurrence of such a performance.
There were several figures being bandied around on social media, the newspapers, and on other networks. And indeed, what he has brought here being the House of Records, is what we will work with until the Auditor General will bring any other figures to prove him wrong. We are happy that he's showing so much transparency, and we should be ready and prepared to qualify for these tournaments and do very well.
The most contentious issue today in the House has been with regard to the presentation of a statement by the sports minister on the campaign of the Black Stars at the just ended AFCON. Highlight of the statement, well, $4.5 million was expended on the campaign by the Black Stars and other issues surrounding the team that went to that AFCON campaign. The sports committee are indicating that they would probe further the details that will be brought to the House. Reporting from Parliament, my name is Duke Mensopoku for Citi News.
We are still on the point of view. That was Duke Mensopoku's report from Parliament. So what do you make of the budget, $4.5 million? Fentu, what jumped out at you listening to and reading through that presentation?
I think, Bernard, it's definitely the bonuses paid to the Black Stars players. And
the bonuses?
The bonuses to the Black Stars players. And you're looking at some figure that we've all struggled to understand and really wrap our heads around how the ministry ended up paying that much money.
So this is item
players.
number 5?
Item number 5, winning bonuses to players, $965,405 US.
$965,000. Why is that a problem?
Well, that is problematic because if you look at the Black Stars campaign in the past, what has often been the practice has been that the Black Stars agree on a certain figure per match if they win. And before, in AFCON 2017, for example, that figure was $5,000 US. Now, when they qualified out of the group stages in 2017, each player went home with a qualification bonus of $15,000. Now, while they agreed that each game they win would be equivalent to $5,000, if they make it out of the group completely, they will put all that together and pay it once. They won't pay it after every game. So they pay qualification bonus. At the last AFCON was $5,000. Up until 2019 AFCON, no press conference was held, no disclosure was made as to whether or not there was an increment to that particular figure.
So the figure of 965,405, you divide that by how many? 23.
If you divide it by the 23 players, each player would have walked home with 41,974. That's nearly 42,000 US dollars.
Now, why is that a problem? Is it that if you compare that to the 5,000, we won only one match?
Yes. So
does this include a qualification bonus or just a winning bonus?
So here's the key. So there are two issues here. One, we don't know how much was paid per game.
Okay.
As far as this money is concerned, because if you divide this figure by the only one match that they've won, it means that basically they went home with $42,000 for winning one game.
So a winning bonus of $42,000 for winning.
Exactly. If we're going by the winning bonus formula, which is what is stated there, winning bonus. It didn't say qualification bonus.
So even if we went by last AFCON's formula, 5K for winning a match and 15K for qualifying, that's still 20K.
Exactly.
And yet they are 42,000.
Exactly.
So it's $22,000 per player more.
Exactly. Now,
wow.
Let's say that the practice is to pay qualification bonus and say that they don't consider how many matches you've won. Once you've made it out of the group stages, you're getting paid a certain figure. And let's say that figure is even $30,000. That means that each game represents $10,000. If that's the case, there is still some 12,000 US dollars.
And then there's something, they have winning bonus for technical and additional technical. If you put the two together, that's 534,000 cedis. How many people do you have on a technical team?
So the Black Stars technical team is made up of 7 people.
What about the additional technical staff?
The additional technical staff. So this was a question that was asked very frequently. The additional technical staff, as far as we are concerned, they are the scouts that were hired to scout Ghana's opponents ahead of the tournament. We know about 3 of them. David Duncan, Salastete, Didi Dramani. We know they hired 2 physios, one from Arsenal, one from Manchester City. We know there's a team doctor.
When you put that together, how many do you have?
So if you put that together, you have a number reaching 8 of them.
So if you have 7 technical staff taking 347,000, that's over 40,000 per technical staff.
Yes.
And then 8 additional technical staff. So that's quite a lot of people. Why is accommodation $1.1 million?
That is another issue because accommodation is taken care of. Accommodation of a team and the technical staff are taken care of by the LOC, the local organizing committee of the competition. So Egypt's LOC would have taken care of that.
So this should not include the footballers and the technical team?
It should not. So here's where it gets interesting. All of that money that you see there was spent on a certain group of people, 9 groups of people, 9 categories of people. Those categories include 1, the playing body, the technical team, members of parliament, the select committee on youth and sports and culture, the representatives of Ghana League Clubs Association, so Kujo Fiano and his people, they were there.
Wow.
The government spent on them. Some staff of the Ghana Football Association, representatives of the Old Footballers Association.
Wow.
There's some staff of the Ministry of Youth and Sports. There's some members of the Supporters Union and journalists. Item number 9, journalists. So if you look at this is how much. So every figure you see there, when you see accommodation.
For accommodation for all these people?
For all these people, thank you.
Do you know how many people went?
We don't know. I can tell you about the supporters. For the supporters, we know that the Ministry of Youth and Sports sent 100 supporters on their own.
When did they go?
They left. So they left in batches.
Okay.
Some of them left before they came before the opening game. But even as late as the game against Tunisia, some of them arrived on the morning of that particular match.
About 100 supporters.
About 100 supporters. But in total, there were over 300 Ghanaian supporters that were there in Egypt. And all of these people, while the ministry did not take all of them there by buying their air tickets, the ministry still took care of them when they got to Egypt.
Wow.
So we're talking about accommodation. And this is information that is not very public. So before the tournament, you know the JMFL Commission recommends against taking supporters to or sponsoring.
That was very clear.
Yeah, it was very clear. If you're going to do that, make sure it's very organized, make sure there's a clear criteria so we know who is going and why they're going. And better still, make sure that you get Corporate Ghana to sponsor the trip. Before this particular tournament, no particular company was enlisted as being the one sponsoring supporters to Egypt. So the 100 supporters that the ministry took on their own, they paid for them.
So the state paid for 100 supporters?
Yes.
100.
Now, before the competition, the supporters union, I've been told, met with the minister and said, if you can take care of 100 of our members, why don't you guarantee visas for an extra 200 more so that we can find our own ways, our own means of going to Egypt?
Wow.
So the ministry ended up doing this.
300 supporters.
Yes, ended up doing this, and the rest of them found their way, in quote, to Egypt. But once they got there, they now became people that the ministry was not taking care of. So that explains that huge figure.
1.1 million.
Yes. So they had to take care of all of them, accommodation, feeding, everything.
We are told that they are still supporters in Egypt.
There are still supporters in Egypt.
But when the tournament ended 2 weeks ago?
Yes. So
why are there still supporters in Egypt?
Because the agent who booked the tickets for those supporters to go to Egypt booked some of the tickets for return dates that were much later than the end of the tournament. And some of them were much...
Are you serious?
Yes, completely serious.
They
so
booked
in fact,
return tickets for dates that were far beyond the tournament ending.
Yes. And
so they are still being accommodated and fed?
They're still being accommodated and fed in Egypt as we speak.
How many?
I can't put a number. I don't know what number.
But you were in Egypt, weren't you?
Yes, I was in Egypt. That's how come I know that there's still supporters in Egypt. And I know that after Ghana exited the competition in Ismailia, they transported all of the supporters into 2 hotels in Cairo. This also I know.
Were you sent by the state?
No, I wasn't sent by the state. You sent me.
No, just to be clear. So you are not part of the journalists who were sent?
I'm not part of the journalists that the state took there.
No, you are not part. Okay.
No, I'm
so
not.
There are supporters still in Egypt?
There are supporters still in Egypt.
Wow.
And mostly because, and this is the other interesting point, mostly because, one, their return dates were booked for dates beyond the tournament. As to what explanation anybody can give for that, we don't know. Perhaps the agent found return tickets, closer to the end of the competition, harder to come by. I don't know, or whether he was looking for cheaper tickets, so he took them to dates that were far beyond the tournament. We don't know. What we do know, one explanation we've had in the past that hasn't made a lot of sense has been that the ministry decided after Ghana exited the competition that it was much more of an expensive venture trying to change their tickets than it was for them to keep them there and continue to accommodate them and then feed them up until their return dates are due.
So viewers, this is really just the tip of the iceberg. We will break this down on other platforms. But I just wanted a final thing from you. How does this 4.5 million compare with two things? Compare with comparable countries and then also previous tournaments. So, for example, do we know how much we spent in 2017 AFCON or 2015? And then also other countries, how much did they spend? Do we have that information?
Yeah, we have information on some of the various countries and how much they actually budgeted for the competition. What we don't know is how much they actually spent.
So how much did we budget for the competition?
We budgeted $6.3 million for the competition.
$6.3 million
for the competition.
And we spent 4.5.
By the round of 16 stage, that's 71%.
So if we had proceeded further, we probably would have spent more.
Probably would have spent more than the 6.3 that we budgeted for. However, and I think that this point needs to be made, Bernard, that what the problem that we have is the bonus structure because take Algeria, for example, and they're African champions, so they are the benchmark. Algeria does not pay. In this past AFCON, they did not pay their players for qualifying out of the group stages.
They didn't pay them for
making bonus. Yes, and this is an Algeria team whose performance hasn't necessarily been great at AFCON. But even they decided that a group stage, making it out of the group stages wasn't good enough to deserve any money. However, here we are, just one game more than the group stages. Our players have gone home with $42,000.
So how much did Algeria pay their players for winning?
So in total, nobody exactly knows how much the Algerian government is paying them. We do know how much CAF is paying them, $4.5 million for winning the competition. But here's the other thing. If you look at, say, Senegal, for example, for Senegal, when they won the competition, so when they got to the final, the president promised them $17,000 for getting to the final. And then when they...
And we paid 40,000.
Yes.
41,000. Have you even added the per diem?
Yes, per diem hasn't been added.
So if you add the per diem per player to the 41K, then you are getting here 50,000.
You're getting, yes. So we don't know this for sure, but we've been told that each player together with everything went home with $51,000.
And Senegal's president paid the players
$17,000 for getting to the final. Then when they played the final and lost it, it gave them an additional $37,000 for their efforts.
Wow.
So they earned roughly the same amount, $51,000 for getting to the final and losing it.
And we get 51,000. Ghana is a good place to play football.
But you see, and that's the problem.
I think we should get our kids into the Black
Because,
Stars.
Bernard, I really don't get it that a country like Ghana, who has made the semi-finals of the competition 6 consecutive tournaments in a row, made the final twice during that period, still thinks that it is wise to pay bonuses for making it out of the group stages. That's just mediocre. We should be telling them, get to the final, win the competition, and take this amount of money.
Do you know how much you spent on AFCON in 2017?
So AFCON in 2017, for example, we spent $4.5 million.
So it's the same thing.
To make it to the semi-finals of the competition.
Now we're in the second round, we still spent 4.5.
We still spent 4.5. If you go back to AFCON 2015, for example, there, when Ayarga was in charge, it said government spent, and it was in Ghana cedis at the time, 18.5 million Ghana cedis.
Divide that by 5.
Yes, yes, if you divide that by 5.
That's around 3.7.
3.7. This is for AFCON 2015.
Of course, it depends on the
exchange rate at the time. And by the way, by the end of this tournament, which we made the final, each player walked on with a jeep.
Yeah, jeep in 2015.
You remember, for losing the final.
So, would you say, have things changed in sports, in football management? Are things the same? Have things improved or things have deteriorated based on this?
No, in terms of the AFCON participation, I think things have gotten worse. And I'll give you a very good example. In 2017, Esiama was the one in charge, the current sports minister. Before the tournament, at the tournament, he held a press conference, declared to every Ghanaian how much each player was going to be paid. And it was very transparent.
But this time, he didn't do that.
He didn't do that before the tournament. And after the tournament, you and I are here, still guessing how much each player got paid for.
So you think things have gotten worse?
Transparency-wise, yes.
Thank you, Fento Tahiru. That's all we have time for this portion of the show. Still ahead, we have a conversation with Koku Anyidoho, who incidentally has been a sports journalist as well. So I'm sure he has a few things to say about this. So 7 years ago today, we were in great mourning because J.E. Mills left us in a very sad day in Ghana's history. So we'll talk about the man and his legacy and what people are saying. In fact, there was a memorial today held for him. We'll talk about that. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is still the point of view. Here are a few quick comments on what we just discussed with Fento Tahiru. Prince Henry Koforidua says, Ghana Black Stars left AFCON 2019 2 weeks ago. The AFCON tournament ended almost a week ago in Germany. We still have supporters in Egypt siphoning the taxpayers' money. I think the normalization committee must go and the sports minister must be sacked because he promised he was going to bring the trophy to Ghana. Saman says the minister doesn't take Ghanaians seriously. He sees no shame in spending $4.5 million. These corrupt officials will be exposed one day. Comment, hi Ben, Senegal as first runner-up took home $17,000. How can you give our stars $41,000? Well, Fento added that they were given an additional $37,000 for what it's worth. Comrade Haya in Dodoa. So this government threw the Brazil white paper away and still sends supporters to Egypt. So why are we all taking for granted? Why did we go wrong, you ask? Good evening, Bernardino. Ghana is a fantastic country. If we spend $4.5 million for only one win in AFCON, then how much will we spend when we leave the trophy? Amid Nu in Madina. Koku is laughing. I used to listen to you on Radio Gold on Saturday afternoons doing sports. This was in the 4 years, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know you were. So were you just appearing there for punditry, or were you actually writing sports? Were you a sports journalist?
I never, well...
Because Boris Johnson is a journalist turned president now, so
Boris Johnson.
Yes, he's a journalist turned president. So were you a sports journalist or just a communicator who liked writing?
He's running as Prime Minister.
Yes, Prime Minister of Britain, yeah. So were you...
No, I did not.
You didn't practice sports journalism?
No. I just love the sport.
Okay.
And thanks to God, one of my fortes is writing. So then I used to write a lot of sports articles because I love the sport.
So you're a sports fan and a pundit?
And a pundit, yeah.
And a pundit, not a sports journalist?
No.
I see. But I'm sure this will be interesting to you, this whole Black Stars thing.
Interesting. I was listening to
Fento.
Yeah, Fento, and then I've been monitoring this whole thing. Kind of things we used to speak about 15, 20 years ago. Same. Nothing has changed. And,
wow.
Ghana. I don't know. We just wish this country well. That's all. Nothing has changed, Bernard. Nothing has changed. We will go and come in the same. beyond Fentu, I heard somebody also 2 days ago giving me, like inside information about what happened in Cairo. And I told the person that, 20 years ago we used to discuss these things, with a lot of energy, biting. And I recall how then working for President Mills also, as his director of communications at Koku Hill, then one big House of Folk man actually went and told Prof, because the man was NDC as well, and said, look, if this is your director of communications, he must decide.
Does he want to do sports or does he want to do communication? Because we are very, very active on the sports.
Oh, yes.
But Mills himself was a sportsman. He was a hockey player and also
administrator. In Legon, he was president of the amalgamated clubs for, I think, 17 years. Mm-hmm. And I heard yesterday that he was the one who organized the first FASU games. Yeah, in here at Elwak Sports Stadium.
An active hockey player.
That was his best sport, but he did everything.
Did he play football too?
He played football. Legon Hall, the Legon team.
Was he at Kakufado's mates? I hear they were in the team.
Yeah, in Legon Hall. They were Legon Hall mates.
Legon Hall team.
But he played for the university team as well. He swam as well. It was a perfect swimmer.
He was a House of Folk man.
He did cricket. He did volley.
Was he ever on the House of Folk board or something?
No, yeah. He was, I think at the point in time, he was co-chair of House of Folk. Yeah, when House of Folk was incorporated as a limited liability company.
Is there a relationship between House and NDC? Hanatete House of Folk, Atuahoe House of Folk, Mills House of Folk.
Do you know
Kotoko, what's going on there?
Do you know the number of House of Folk people the number of NDC people who are Olympics? Agosu. They play. I have a very good friend. They play at Kajano. They used to play at Kajano. You know Kajano Park?
Osu.
No, La.
La, okay.
And then this friend of mine would tell me how he will come back and go to Kajano Park.
So you think more NDC people support Olympics than Hearts? Because officially, the high-ranking NDC tend to be Hearts.
You see, but Bernard, that is where we must walk our way out of.
Okay.
Politics and sports. Look, I was at the stadium May 9th. Then I was at the Metropolitan and Allied Bank.
Okay.
Yes, I was there, Metropolitan and Allied Bank, as a head of treasury. So I left in a tie, I used to wear ties before, I was there, Bernard, May 9th. The May 9th disaster, I saw it unfold. I used to sit at the Osu stand, center line, with the likes of Fred Amugi, Gavina Tamakulo, and co. And what happened that day, Bernard? Let us not relive it. It was politics.
You think so?
It was just politics. MPP won an election. And so Kotoko is MPP. And so NDC is in opposition. That was the genesis of this whole May 9th thing.
Really?
Oh, come on. It was politics.
Is that what they were saying in the stands?
I don't want to go into details and mention names,
okay.
But that whole May 9th thing was politics.
Really?
I'm telling you.
So you think we should take that out of sports?
Politics is destroying this country.
But it's in everything. Politics is now everywhere.
That's why we need a mindset transformation. That is why we need mindset transformation, Bernard. And when I listen to you guys every morning, today I was listening to one of your guys, was it today or yesterday, that some lady gave him a lift.
Yes, yesterday, Kojo.
And that the lady said she used to drive, on the shoulders, and that because of Citi FM's war against indiscipline, she stopped. That is the mindset transformation we're talking about. Why should we allow politics to enter sports? I support Arsenal. I'm an Arsenal supporter. That's why I was happy Liverpool beat Tottenham Hotspur in the final of the Champions League, because there's no way Arsenal supporters should support Tottenham Hotspur. Of course, the President of the Republic, Nana Akufo-Addo, seems to be a Hotspur supporter.
You said we should take politics out of sports. So where are you going with this? Let me just find out on this. So I'm going to show you something quickly that happened today. So the NDC organized some sort of commemoration. I'm going to show you quickly.
Sure.
And then we'll talk about Mills. This is still the point of view. Koku Anyidoho is in the studio. So Ni Amma put together a short report on what transpired at the Mills Memorial today.
It was a solemn ceremony to remember a former statesman On July 24, 2012, the nation was plunged into mourning following the death of the then President, Professor John Evans Attah-Mills. The incident happened months to a general election in which he was seeking re-election. Even before his death, his health had been called into question, birthing rumors that he had died months before his actual demise. In this video taken after he returned to the country from a medical checkup in the US, he assured the nation that all was well.
I have just arrived from the US, where I undertook a regular medical checkup. Thank God, everything is okay.
Barely a month after this, a sudden illness would mean his death at the 37 military hospital. 7 years after the incident, the memory of the Asomdwe Hene, a name Professor Mills earned for his calm and peace-loving nature, continues to live on. Speaking at a wreath-laying ceremony at the Asomdwe Park in his honor, the NDC's chairman, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, eulogized him for his selfless leadership, saying it is a great example for all to follow.
He eschewed avarice and led by the example of his uncommon humility and simplicity. His graciousness extended even to those who vilified and maligned him, and he wore their respect as a medal of honor. Through this professional excellence, through this great personal morality, John Attah-Mills bequeathed a faithful example to all who aspire to leadership in this nation.
The ceremony brought together the family of the late president, NDC stalwarts and sympathizers. Former ministers of state, Professor Kwame Ahoy and Sherry Ayite, shared fond memories of the late Professor Mills.
Many people have referred to President Mills as a reluctant politician. I don't think that he was a reluctant politician. I think that he was the kind of politician that Ghana needs.
I will always remember it's his philosophy about governance, his political ideas. He believed that politics is by the people and for the people. And it is that the people should drive their own political agenda. And because of this, he was such a great socialist, and he stood for the will of the people.
The final resting place of Professor Attah-Mills, the Asomdwe Park, has been in the news because of its deteriorating nature. For years, a lack of maintenance had left the park to rot, reportedly creating a safe space for drug addicts and prostitutes. A former Minister of State, Kwesi Ahoy, says this must be checked.
President Mills was a leader of a country called Ghana. And if the country decided to bury him here and hope that future president will be buried here, the least we could do for him is to maintain these grounds. But just before this time, the report that we heard, prostitutes and smokers are taking over this place, the whole place is untidy, unkept, nobody is caring, and it is very true.
Once again, a great exemplary leader, Professor John Evans Attah-Mills, has been eulogized, but from all indication for his family and friends, one thing that will continue to cause them to lose sleep is the state of his final resting place, the Asomdwe Park, and its maintenance. Reporting for Citi News, my name is Ni Ama.
So that was Ni Ama's report. Koku, I was hoping to see you in the report. Is it that Ni Ama edited you out or you're not there?
No. I was there much earlier, about 6 a.m. With my team from the Attah-Mills Institute.
But this was discussed an NDC program, not an Attah-Mills Institute
program. The Attah-Mills Institute is apolitical. Yesterday when we had our program at the Academy of Arts and Sciences, we made it very clear that the Attah-Mills Institute is apolitical.
So it's not an NDC organized program. It's
which is
the Attah-Mills Institute.
No.
It's something you are doing with.
It's something that Koku Anyidoho and the directors and the council chair people are doing to honor President Mills. It's got nothing to do with the NDC.
So who is funding it?
Funding the creator.
Is it? That's interesting.
Yeah, no, but you see, it is apolitical. Look, it's been 7 years, Bernard. The man passed on. Everywhere in the world, there's nowhere you have state agencies managing the memory of past leaders. The Ford Foundation, the Carter Foundation, the Clinton Foundation. Even here in Ghana, President Kufuor has his foundation. You have the Ali Mahama Foundation, Dankwa Buzia Institute. A year ago, former late President Emisata passed on. Emisata Foundation. So for 7 years, Attah-Mills has nothing to his name. And I recall on the 24th of July, 2012, when he passed on, watching his lifeless body at the ICU, intensive care unit at 37. I said to that lifeless body that, say, no matter what the state does, no matter what your family does, no matter what everybody does, me, Koku Anyidoho, I will do something to keep your legacy alive. That is me and him. It's something we used to discuss, Bernard.
Wow.
And so the Attah-Mills Institute, humbly so, I'm the founder and the CEO. It's got nothing to do with politics.
So you raise funds for this independently?
Oh, yes.
Have you asked the NDC to support this?
It is apolitical, Bernard.
No, but there's a quote from one Ernest Kumi. I was just reading something. It says, NDC has failed in projecting Prof. Mills as a hero. MPP man Ernest Kumi. And he says, there's no annual lecture.
No, there is. No. Hold on.
I'm just reading the correct. He says there's no minute silence at their events. No. This is what he said. Is there a Mills annual lecture?
Listen, there has been an annual lecture since he passed on.
Okay.
The first lecture was delivered by Professor Kwame Nahoy.
So that is organized by who?
The second one was delivered by Dr. Ibn Chambers. And we have...
So that is there.
But I'm saying that is in the ambit of the state. Yes, we were in power. NDC was in power. So, yes, the first, why not? So the state did it.
No, since NDC went to the position, have they done the Mills lecture?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Last week, there was one that...
So who sponsors that?
Is this... Well, I believe the state does, because now it rotates between GIMPA.
Okay.
The law faculty at GIMPA.
I get it.
And then UCC, University of...
So that one is institutionalized?
It's institutionalized. It's state.
So what are you expecting? But you see, what are you expecting there? Because you mentioned the various foundations, Carter Foundation. So who do you think should have come up with a foundation for Mills?
I don't want to go into those details. All I want to say is that these things are driven with passion and by passion. You don't just go and put these things in the ambit of state institutions. There must be an institute. There must be an independent body that has the passion. Passion beyond Koku Anyidoho. Passion into 100 years. Passion into eternity. Where we can drive the Mills agenda and perfect the legacy. I have chosen to do so with pride, dignity, and honor.
So we read about a lot of things that are not going well. So in the news, they were saying that the Asomdwe Park is in a mess. Has it always been like this, or it's a recent phenomenon?
Bernard, Asomdwe Park. Actually, 2 months ago, this morning I was there, like I told you, at 6 a.m. with my team from the Institute to lay a wreath. To be frank, 2 months ago, 3 months ago when I got there, I told myself that I will not bother to go and lay a wreath because the place was so horrible. But God being good, the state being good, as it is today, is much, much better than what I saw 3 months ago. Facts are facts. And let us speak to the facts. Asomdwe Park was designed. The same person who designed the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum, Dr. Donata and his team, designed Asomdwe Park and then had a business model attached to it. President passed on the 24th of July. We had to bury him on the 10th of August per the state program. That was 2 weeks and 3 days. So we had to just quickly sort out that place for the burial. The master plan was that within 1 year, Asomdwe Park will be built into a state monument. Don't ask me what happened. I will not answer that question, but I'm just giving you the facts because why is it that even for 4.5 years of the NDC, Asomdwe Park was not built?
So as we sit here, the Asomdwe Park we see is what was left on 10th August. They've not added anything to it since 10th August.
I speak no more.
Interesting. So what's the problem? Is it that there's no money, there's no leadership, there's no passion? Have you tried to raise money for this? Because I saw you in Geneva, I've seen you in a few places traveling with the foundation.
Actually, with the institute, we wrote officially. My phone is offered as I've shown the letter. We wrote officially to the presidency this year. As we have that, look, we beg them in the name of God and country. I'm telling you that if they can do something about Asomdwe Park, it's not for us. President Mills didn't write a will and say he wanted to be buried at Asomdwe Park, Bernard. It was the state that decided that he should be buried there. Family agreed. Why have we left that place in ruins? Now, he was the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. There's the military cemetery, which is well tended for men who fall either in battle or out of battle. That place is well tended. How come the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces is left?
But we were told initially that would have been a place for burying other former heads of state.
So was the plan.
But it seems that when Evans Attah died, he was sent to the military cemetery in Burma camp.
I'm saying that so was the...
So it has been left to deteriorate. Okay, so fair enough. But there are some who say the man's legacy should not just be in the place he's buried, but there are other things. For example, there are a few things named after him, aren't there? So there's the Mills High Street, there's the Attah-Mills FPSO, and then there's also the library.
Library. Yeah, right, the library.
What's wrong with the library?
The library.
Who built it, by the way?
The library was built. I was a member of the committee. I was told that the telcos at the time were funding the library. That's all I will say. All I know for now is that the contractor finished his work and says he has not been paid in full.
When did he finish? So the library is not being opened?
Bernard, wisdom tells me that, let me not say much. All I'm saying is that we were told. It's not me who's saying it. It's a matter of fact. It's there, Google. They said the telcos were funding the library. So what I expect you people to, the media people, go back to the telcos, ask them.
Did you pay?
Did you really fund the library?
Okay.
And if you funded the library, who did you give the money to?
We saw a photo of the library, which is a sort of semi-completed, I think. 2 floors and 1 floor
The
left.
library was commissioned at a point in time. And it's not just a small community library. It's a model presidential library. Let's begin to ask the questions. Telcos, did you fund the library? If you did, who did you give the money to?
Aren't we dwelling
Because you see, Bernard, otherwise, you've talked about Asomdwe Park. You've talked about the library. Are those two, places worthy of honor in memory of President Mills? That is why the Attah-Mills Institute has come alive. And we are saying that, assuming Asomdwe Park remains like that, and assuming the library is closed forever, the Attah-Mills Institute will, by the grace of God, perfect the legacy.
Aren't we dwelling too much on physicals? If, for example, you're talking about the park, the library, and things like that, shouldn't we focus on his ideals? And
that's what the Institute is doing.
No, but I'm saying that in context of you saying it looks like he's been abandoned.
That's what I'm saying that...
Should we use physical monuments to remember him or his principles and whatever?
To the extent that those two monuments or physical entities don't seem to edify and glorify his memory, the Attah-Mills Institute has come up and we are saying that we are a research, education, public policy and advocacy institute to propagate his ideals President Mills was a reformist.
He was a what?
A reformist.
Is it?
Oh, yes. A transformational leader.
Wow.
It will interest you to know that all the reforms that he introduced in the area of taxation are concepts that he wrote about when he was writing his thesis, PhD thesis, at the age of 25, 26, 27. Yesterday, at our meeting seminar at the Academy of Arts and Sciences, and for the record, it's President Mills who built that new auditorium and the new headquarters of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, because that was Kwame Nkrumah's idea in 1959 when the Academy of Arts and Sciences was set up. It was the foremost center for learning in Ghana.
Aren't we being a bit of I mean, look, I agree with all you. It's like, it seems as if when somebody is dead, all we say about them is good things, right? And then
So I'm saying that the institute has been set up.
Yes.
For that purpose of propagating knowledge. Because that's what a man lived for. Yesterday, Ken Gatti, the gentleman who moderated the program, I was surprised when he said that he was the first beneficiary of the Attah-Mills scholarship by Tallow Oil to do his LLM at the LSE.
I was asking you something, but I'll ask you when we come back from the break. Whether or not we are not being too... We are very iconoclastic, aren't we? So when somebody dies, we create a saint out of them. But he had ups and downs. So I'll try and see if we can pick some of those. My guest is Koku Anyidoho, who was a personal aide to former President J.E. Mills. 24th July, 7 years ago, was the day he died, and we're trying to remember his legacy. Stay with us. Koku Anyidoho on the point of view tonight, and he's remembering his mentor and great friend, our former president, a man whose death shocked the nation, and for many, many months, the sun did not shine. I don't know if you remember this.
But the sun shone today. You know why?
Why?
Because the Attah-Mills Institute yesterday came alive. The sun shone today. I'm telling you. Look, Bernard, do you believe that there's an architect and owner of the universe?
Oh, I do, of course.
Good. There's a God. For 6 years, we saw no sun. It will always rain. Yesterday, when the Attah-Mills Institute came alive, today we saw sun. The soul of Attah-Mills is happy and is living brighter in the heavenly realms.
Ben, truly, it's after a death of a person that we appreciate people. I entirely admire Professor Mills. He was a real and lovely statesman. May he so rest in peace, Maxwell Atia. And then a few more comments. Bab Shamo says, NDC failed to develop Asonje Park in 4 years of power. The Asonje Park was left on 10th August 2012. It's the same state that we have it today. That's from Bab. Comrade Haya says, Bernard, the demise of Prof. J.E. Mills was a blow to Ghanaians. This was a president who was about taking Ghana to the next level. I was asking you whether we are not too... Look, we don't talk ill of the dead, but Koku, honestly, some people were even getting worried that even though we had FPSO Mills, Attah-Mills Highway, we even tried to change that to those hockey pitch to Mills' name, and all of these things. So it's like we are trying very hard after the man's death.
The first FPSO was named after Kwame Nkrumah.
Yes, and the next one was after him.
And it was President Mills, who named the FPSO after Kwame Nkrumah. Because very often, and I used to write his speeches, and for the records, yes. And why not? I must begin to claim my little glory. Oh, come on, Bernard. It's about time that the story is told.
Do you feel you
Koku Anyidoho used to write President Mills' speeches.
Why
for local international engagements? I did it.
I'm just asking.
State of the Nation address.
Has that been
UN speeches? I did it.
Has that never been in doubt?
I must begin to
has
claim
that never been in doubt?
I must begin to claim my glory.
What has gone on?
The business where people think that I found myself around President Mills fortuitously. It's not so. I had talent. I was born into a family. My father, Major John Evans Attah-Mills, DSO, Distinguished Service Order for gallantry. UNAMIR, United Nations Assistance Mission in Rwanda. When the UN passed the resolution for all troops to leave Rwanda, a certain General Anyidoho, under the leadership of President Rawlings, decided that Gambat shall remain.
What has that got to do with you?
I'm saying that I was born into a family. The bull, I was not cloned in a crowd.
Why I'm trying to. Is there some sort of...
My story will be told. So President Mills...
Is there a distortion...
President Mills identified my talent.
Is there a distortion of your relationship with him in certain circles for which you are doing all these things?
No. I have chosen to be... Look, when a man, a genius, out of 24, 25 million Ghanaians, picks a phone and calls you one morning and says, Koku Anyidoho, I want you to work for me. I was then in the bank, head of Treasury and Investment, Metropolitan and Allied Bank, the first private commercial bank. He called me, having identified my talent, and says, come and work for me. Then I resigned without hesitation.
While he was in opposition?
Yes. And people thought I was mad. Why are you resigning to go and work for this failure? This serial loser. He lost in 2000. He lost in 2004. He will lose in 2008 again. I said, the man has called me to serve him. Bernard, so when you work for such a person, I had no option but to be loyal to him.
But is loyalty everything?
Loyalty is everything. The Bible says so.
Which part does it say that?
That you must be loyal to our leaders and loyal to our God.
I don't remember which part is. But so there are people who felt that you had, let me say it in you, what Jamil Saboso, you had. So, for example, there was a time where Ayariga was his spokesperson and he was director of communications, and there were clashes. It was brought in the media a lot.
Let's talk about Mills.
No, I'm asking, now that you brought it up, so do you feel that your role under Mills is being erased? For which reason you are doing that at Mills Institute and saying all these things you are saying?
Jesus Christ had 12 disciples. One betrayed him. 11 stayed. And he said what? What's the name of the guy?
I don't know what you're talking about.
On you, I shall build my church. So, President Mills
had church in a long time. Oh, Achimota boy, you can't remember the quote. So your point is what?
My point is that
you are the Peter of Mills.
Why not? There must be somebody who must hold on to the legacy.
Yes.
And it must not necessarily be blood, but it must be out of conviction. He was a good man.
But that's
he wished well for
that's
this
not
country.
In doubt. But he wasn't perfect, was he? For example, there are people who say, for example, that one of the failures of Mills was the way he treated.
You see, yesterday,
the way he treated Martin Amido, for example, because Mills is seen as a peace-loving. No, let me just frame the question, Koku, please. Mills was supposed to be a peace-loving person who was incorruptible. After all that happened with Amido and he being the fall guy, that wasn't a glorious moment for Mills, was it?
I will not speak to the Amido issue today. I will speak to it at another point in time.
The question is still there looking at you. You can answer whenever you want to. No, because I'm asking
even
you...
in the heavenly realms,
yes,
insubordination is not condoned. That's all I will say for now. But the Amido issue, the story, I'll tell it one day. Insubordination. He says he was doing what? He was sacked for what? Fighting corruption. Gross insubordination.
We saw the letters.
You want to see more letters?
Yes.
Let's go back to Attah-Mills.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
I am the Attah-Mills Institute. Amido says what?
No, Amido hasn't said anything.
Amido says what?
No, Amido hasn't said anything. I'm saying that you are painting a picture that the
he
man
was human.
Yes.
So when he died.
So I was expecting to tell me.
Bernard, I'm saying that.
How should we
treat? I'm saying that gross insubordination is not countenance even in the heavenly realms.
As judged by who?
As against by the heavens.
But the public doesn't think that. The public doesn't think that.
Some men, look, even me here.
Yes.
If I decide to disrespect you, you will walk me off your program. I have no right to disrespect you.
But I thought we were fighting corruption, wanted good governance. He says we were trying to commit crimes against the state.
And I'm saying that if somebody tells you...
So loyalty is higher than... So loyalty should be better than honesty?
Insubordination is not condoned.
So when virtues clash, when you have a clash between virtues. Of loyalty and truthfulness, what do?
Insubordination.
You choose to call it so.
Insubordination.
Somebody is loyal to his state and his conscience.
Bernard, you're a smart guy.
No.
You want to open me up?
No, I thought you were open already.
Wait, the memoirs, his biography is being written. You will read.
Are you writing a book about him?
Well, yeah, there's a biography being written. I'm co-authoring with.
Invite me to the lunch. Give me some galamsey job there.
The last time I mentioned the name of the co-author on the program,
so are you still in politics?
I was summoned to a Sahindrin and told that when you are co-authoring something, don't. So I won't mention the name of the co-author, but I'm saying that a book is being written. But I am also writing my own story.
Invite me to the launch. Are you still in politics?
Yes. I'm a politician.
Are you still in NDC?
Why not?
Okay. So what role do you play in the party now?
I'm working on the Attah-Mills Institute.
But it's not a party project. What are you doing for NDC?
Why?
They have an election in 2020. What are you doing?
2020?
Yes.
I'm working for the Institute for now. Look, listen. Bernard.
Yes.
For me,
yes,
I operate on a principle of double P.
Okay.
Project and protect. As head of communications for President Mills in opposition, I had to project and protect.
Okay.
As head of communication at the presidency, and at that point, project and protect. As deputy general secretary,
project and protect.
Now,
as Attah-Mills Institute,
I must project and protect. Attah-Mills Institute.
We have to end it here, Koku. I'll invite you back on radio to talk.
But I'm a senior member of the NDC.
You're a big man, and I like your white beard. Koku Anyidoho has been talking to us on the man he so dearly loved. Everybody in Ghana knows that.
He was a good man. He was close to him.
We wish the Attah-Mills Institute well.